All right, we're back with the final match of the fifth season, and it's going to be a good one. Our opponent is pretty good, probably one of the best I've faced in a while. Kelsey Alamandel from Clans Mandalorians, and like I mentioned in the last video, their uh, their defensive record is really solid, 234 defensive holds, which is pretty good. And offensive battles 514, it's way up there. So really good player, knows how to set a tough defense. Usually always sets both Darth Revan and Gas on defense, and still able to clear the opponents with decent efficiency. So that's what we're going to see today. He hasn't lost in a while, and only I think lost one match this season, and the current championship rank is about 182. So it's going to be a pretty interesting match. Um, so for this particular match, I decided not to do a theme. I've been doing themes for the last five matches or so, and I've been winning all of them. But this particular one, I decided not to take the risk just because of the quality of my opponent. I decided to play a straight up match and set the toughest defense that I could, and at the same time, keep what I can on offense to one shot my opponent, and get the victory. So that's going to be my goal. But what I'm going to do is in this particular video, I didn't record my commentary live. I decided to go ahead and do the battle, and then I'm going to superimpose my commentary on top of it. So it's going to be after the fact commentary, not live commentary, just because I felt I needed to focus on the match itself. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the battles, and let me show you how I did. So a brief overview of my defenses. So let's go in and take a look. Um, so I decided to keep a regular tough defense. So at the bottom, I kept my both my gas and DR, and so did my opponent, as you'll see. So it became interesting for both of us. Over here, I kept my bounty hunters as well as Wampa with Shark T. And then I kept a freebie team, Evox with and then Kira with Nest at the back. And down here, I kept two other tough teams, Sisters and Grievous. I was hoping he'll exhaust a good squad at the front and not have enough to take out Sisters or Grievous. But let's see what happens. So here we have my opponent's defense, Geos and a bounty hunter team, both G12, not G13, so nothing that great. But here we have a couple of tough ones, BB8 with Grievous as well as Gas with fully relict clones. So I'm going to take my regular gas counter over here, which is going to be CLS with Watt and Stormtrooper Han. And this is a straightforward order of operations. You stun Rex to prevent them from going first, and try to get down Skywalker as soon as you can. And I'm sure my opponent also used the same offense against my General Skywalker. The next thing that you need to do is get down fives as soon as you can. And with a tanky fives, it gets a little difficult, especially one modded for protection. One's modded for defense go down slightly easier because Han tends to ignore defense because of Watt's tech, and he can get rid of them pretty fast. But once you do that, you have to get rid of at least one more clone. I find it difficult to get rid of all four all at once. You have to topple Skywalker at least twice. So get rid of at least one more and then try to topple Skywalker again, and just pray that he doesn't counter the wrong guy, because if Chewie dies, then you're in trouble. Um, Han and CLS, it doesn't matter as much if they're targeted because they do avoid crits, um, so it won't matter as much. So once you come to the third, um, once he comes out of the topple the third time, then it's usually easier because you typically have a stronger, a strong three, at least the three of them remaining behind, and they are usually able to get the job done with counters and all that. So 49 banners, not too great, but it was one shot, which was going to be the goal, because a cleanup of a gas takes up another good team. Which is why, if you see, I didn't keep my Newt and Dooku on defense, because I wanted to save them for offense in case I needed to clean up a gas. All right, so against Grievous with BB-8, I decided to go with my regular JKR squad. Only Jolie, JKR, and GMY are G13, but um, ultimately what matters is Jolie being able to survive enough. Here you see B2 is not yet triggered, so I pass it over to Yoda to spread the buffs around and trigger B2. And then I am just going to wait for Mark to come around. Unfortunately, nothing much I can do over here. Try to take out BB8 and stop that healing, stop that taunt once and for all. And now I just need to wait for B2 to get marked. So a lot of people prefer Basti lead, but I just prefer Revan lead against BB8 and GG, just because there's so many ways to recover protection and health. And the added offense is really great for getting down tough B2s, especially ones like these, which are G13. The added offense really helps to get it down really fast. You do tend to die quite a lot, but but as long as you keep calling Jolie to assist and have his cooldowns, have his revive off cooldowns, you should be able to do a decent job. Here you'll see that I'll be dying quite a lot, and I'll be left with only Jolie towards the end. But ultimately, he is able to revive and get people back. Same thing happens with the Night Sister counter against Grievous. You most of the time, Daka and Zombie will be the only ones remaining behind after Grievous has had a chance to go, and um, and then you revive everyone back and finish the job. So there you go. That's one revive. And typically my opponent keeps Watt with his GG team, but this time I think he wanted to keep Watt on offense because he knew that from my history that I usually keep gas on defense. So I think he wanted to use Watt to counter my own gas, which is why I got lucky and he didn't use gas over Watt over here. If he had used Watt over here, then I would have probably used the EP counter, which is also reliable enough, but it's a little more risky than going up against a straight GG team like this. All right, so we have everyone revived now, with the exception of Hermit Yoda. My Hermit Yoda is still G11, not even G12, so maybe I need to invest a little bit more in him. But I am in full hoarding mode right now, so that becomes a little difficult. Anyway, I finished this off end with 55 banners. Not the best, but okay for a GG team with BB8, I guess. So now that the bottom tough zone is done, let's go see what's at the back. And my opponent has kept his Darth Revan at the back without Basti, but still a very tough Darth Revan team. So it's good to see that, because this means that my opponent will have less to counter my heavy defense as well. All right, so now what I do is I decide to go with against the bounty hunters with my own Geo squad, which I kept on offense this time. I've been keeping them on defense just because they didn't fill a lot of my themes in the past, but I really like them on offense. They are so very powerful. And this one was it was relatively simple for them to take care of this bounty hunter team. All of them were G12, not even G13, so not much of an issue. These guys die pretty fast. I think he had Baze in there for the pre-taunt to prevent the JTR counter, because JTR would only be able to apply the wave on Baze, and then boss would start taunting, and then I would have to punch through boss to get to the rest. But with Geos that really doesn't matter because they chew through them really fast. So that is done. 59, I think I lost a little bit of protection on my spy, but good enough outcome. I think apart from the big major matches, the big matches like GS and GG and Darth Revan, I'm trying to see if I can't get 60 banners in all matches at least. And over here, I take my Treya in there. I'm considering who else to take. They're all G12 Geos, so not really going to be hitting very hard. But Spy, even at G12, especially with an expose or two on my team, can hit and potentially one-shot Scion before he gets held by hatred. So I want to take in at least one tank to absorb the initial big hit from Spy. And I decided to go in with just Royal Guard and not Stormtrooper. I think just one tank was more than enough because I wanted to get a few additional banners as well. And I didn't take my Nihilus. I felt he wasn't needed. I could have used him elsewhere on my offense. So as you can see over here, being the weakest member, these guys do target Royal Guard, and that was the big hit from Spy that you saw. So Spy big hit was absorbed, and Scion is safe to tank a little more. And I have modded him for health and crit avoidance, which is why he's able to survive a little bit, um, even though he's just G12. So now I take out Brood, and then once I get held by hatred, then it's a pretty simple job to finish the rest off. Here I should have finished Poggle or Soldier. I don't know why I finished Sunfac first, but it didn't make it in the end. Didn't make a difference to the result. So there you go, final defeat of Spy, and I get about 58 banners. So still in the range of 58 to 60 that I want to get in the non-meta matches. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the battles out of the way. This is when I typically take a break and come back after a little while to complete the battle, but to wait for my opponent to go. But I was running short of time. I had a few other things to take care of, so I just decided to go ahead and clear the board and put some pressure on my opponent. The best squad that I have left is Padme against Darth Revan, and they do a lot of damage, but I'm able to at least get the taunting out of the way, and my Padme just barely managed to survive. If she had died over here, I would have probably lost this match. But as you can see over here, one big AoE from Annie takes care of Malik. I've never actually seen Malik being killed by an AoE before. Um, well, in the Shakti Annie days, maybe that was possible, but my team barely survived, even though I lost Annie, and I managed to top up the health on everyone, and then it's just a matter of getting rid of Darth Marauder, or the Sith Marauder. So relatively low banners, but at least it was one shot. Padme is the best counter that I have for Sith Empire, so no other choice for me. Okay, so the rest of the three teams that are remaining behind are relatively simple. So what I need to do is, since I lost some banners on the Padme team, on the DR counter, I need to make sure I get at least 59 to 60 banners in the remaining matches, because my goal is to put pressure on my opponent when they are attacking. And first order is the best counter that I have to the Cars team. So whoever's in the fifth spot, whether it's Juhani or whether it's Wampa, or sometimes you see Barris in there, I always tend to stun them first and then control the team. And the great thing about having Hux in the first order team is that you get to do your stun twice in a row. I make my Hux very fast, slightly slower than Crew, so that Crew goes ahead and stuns first, then Hux goes and gives him the turn meter and he stuns somebody else immediately afterwards. And then you have two of your enemy having a 2-turn stun immediately. So it's basically a 5 versus 3 match for half the match. It's a really great way to control the battle. So here I'm just trying to take out Karth and Candrus before I attack the characters who are stunned. I do what I can to maintain the taunt on Crew, and there you see his stun. The Hux's ability came again, and he was able to stun Karth, Zalbar as well. So three characters on enemy's team having 2-turn stuns, and my team is free to do whatever they want. It's a really great way to control the team. Hux is adds so much to the team. It's like a much better version of a first order officer, because he passes turn meter on to another person, reduces cooldowns, calls in assists as well, which first order officer doesn't do. So it's definitely a much better version of a first order officer. And here you see he passes the turn meter to Crew again and stuns Wampa. So really great at recycling Crew's 2-turn stun. So pretty happy with the first order with the Hux. He doesn't have many ways of getting buffs by himself. So in this particular team, he doesn't really recover health and protection as much, because all the others have got ways of getting buffs back. Like over here, first order Stormtrooper or Crew or Kylo. All of them have ways of recovering buffs. But over here you'll see I wanted to end with 60, but I have no choice but to end with 59 because Hux hasn't been able to recover all the protection. But still good enough to put pressure on my opponent. Let's go to the next match. So let's take a quick look at what's at the back. And he's kept relatively weak squads. Kira team without Nest and Karth with Wampa. So JTR is another squad which is really great to end with full banners. And over here you've got quite a few. You've got a character IG88 who can do AoEs. You've got L3 who counters a lot and needs to be controlled. So JTR is again another one of those control squads which does great against these kind of teams which are light on damage but which are meant to strip banners and be generally irritating. So I managed to take out Vandor first. It was only a G11 Vandor, so not too tanky. He did get brought back, but it's not much of an issue for the JTR team to manage to take him out fairly quickly again. And then I want to target IG88 just because he's got all those AoEs which can get irritating, apply ability block and all that. And then I take out Captain Han because I don't want him to revive anyone anymore. All the while keeping L3 in check with the wave. And I'm going to avoid any AoEs because I don't want L3 dispelling any, cleansing any debuffs on our allies. And once I get rid of Kira, then I can focus on L3. And my team is more or less on full health and full protection. Ever since I got Finn up to G12, which was very recently, just a couple of weeks back, I think, I've been pretty happy with him on the team. I think these 5 are currently the best resistance team to go with in terms of banner recovery and damage. Finn has got both damage as well as banner recovery, which makes him a great addition to this team. All right, let's see what we want to take against that last team. So at the back, the last team remaining behind is a new team with Dooku and Nest. So again, very efficient at split at taking out banners. So you need something to really control them again. And I've decided to go with my Palp and Basti team. I did have another Newt squad with Zalbar and Mission as well and Dooku, but I was saving that as a backup in case my opponent went extremely heavy on defense, but I ended up not needing it. But here my usual method of operation is to pass the turn meter to Basti, get the buffs out so that my team starts getting turn meter, and then start with the stun. So Dooku over here is problematic. I'm getting more debuffs with Sidious, but ultimately, Dooku with all the countering, he is proving to be quite problematic. But I have my Nihilus, who I saved from my Treya battle, so he does come in pretty handy over here, as you'll see. So everyone is in stealth, so I have no option but to attack Nest. Luckily she's stunned and shocked, so nothing to worry about. Recover a little bit of health and protection on EP. I used EP's heal ability. I usually don't use that quite a lot just because of the because it reduces everyone's health by a little bit and it's bad for banners, but it's only like less than 5%, I think, and they get it back in terms of health steal when they do damage anyway, so nothing to worry about out there. If you use it in the beginning of the battle, don't use it at the end of the battle because you may end with less banners. So over here, Droidica is taken care of, Dooku is taken care of, so all the threats are gone, and as long as I keep Nest stunned, Annihilate will take care of her, so nothing to worry about there. Now I pass the turn meter to Sidious to give him some additional health and protection, and almost everyone is stopped in. So everyone is stopped up. Well, I do consider taking out Newt over here, but then Newt would have revived. So I decided to just annihilate him so that he doesn't revive and use extortion and get everyone below full health, because I wouldn't be able to recover full protection on all 5 of them, maybe just a couple. So I decided to use the annihilate on Newt and then wait till I get annihilate again and then use that on Nest. That's luxury you can afford when you have Nihilus on the team, and you've got like 3 minutes on the clock, so I can afford to do that. So yep, just waiting to top up. I think EP needed a little bit of topping up, so now I've topped everyone up. I'm just waiting for Nihilus's Annihilate to come around, and then I should be able to get the job done. So here I took Sidious in because I wanted that feat completed, that Sidious and EP together in one team. Otherwise, I'm sure that there were better people to take in. But the one feat that I did not complete and I missed by just a couple of kills is the 501st, not the 501st, but the Order 66 kill. But that's fine. I missed about 250 banners there, but it ended up not mattering because I ended up getting Kaiba, as you can see over here. Despite that, so I did end up getting Kaiba, which means I the results of this match didn't matter. I could end up losing this, and I still end up making Kaiba. But obviously I do want to win it. So let's go ahead and see how my opponent has done. So as you can see over here, I've got 1893 as the final score, which is about 56 and a half banners per match. And I'm just trying to see if my opponent is able to get that done or not. So let me show you how my opponent decided to attack. So here's the final outcome. My opponent did go, and they weren't able to clear my board. Did struggle on my Grievous, and let's review each of the matches one by one. So at the very first, they were able to one-shot both my Grievous, my Darth Revan, as well as my General Skywalker. I think he used Padme and Rebels against those two teams. And I knew that my opponent usually used Padme against Grievous and Night Sisters, which is why I kept Grievous and Night Sisters at the back here. And it seems to have worked. I think they might have used something else against Night Sisters, maybe JKR, but didn't have anything for Grievous. So I was happy to see that. I think they did save the Night Sisters on offense as well, and they sometimes used Night Sisters against Grievous, but I think that particular battle failed out here. So that guarantees me the victory. The other areas they were able to one shot. They got one shot the Bounty Hunter team as well as the Wampa team with the under Shark T. I did briefly chat with them, and they did mention that my Wampa managed to one shot one of their team members. So I think Wampa did pretty good damage out there and managed to shave a few banners off because my opponent was only able to get an average of 52, 53 banners in the first four zones, and Wampa helped break that efficiency for them. I had kept my Ewoks over here. They one shot all of that pretty easily. I think we got 61 banners. Probably used troopers undersized over there, and Kira under Nest. Nest did manage to get a hold. They managed to beat all four characters before, and then Nest they had to go in with the second team to clean Nest up. So a couple of holes out there against with Kira Nest, and unable to clear my Grievous squad, which means my victory is guaranteed, and my opponent is at 1633. I think they let me go back and take a look, but I think my opponent might have just missed Kaiba. They got 35,015, so they needed 500 points more, maybe 485 points more to get Kaiba, and they didn't have any other feats, I think. So they needed this win to get Kaiba, but that's unfortunate. Win's a win, but yeah, that's basically the final match. It was interesting. I think I gave my opponent the respect that he deserves. I did not underestimate him, and managed to keep my best defense and managed to one shot all my opponent's teams on offense. Little inefficient at times, but I think 1893 is a good score. So that's the end of this season. I had one loss throughout in this season, um, and but otherwise I was able to full clear my opponents at all times. So before I get the 1,000 banner victory win, I'm at rank 282, and I have completed all the feats except for the Order 66 one. But it was a pretty interesting season. I did enjoy the five feats the five theme matches that I did. I think I might do a little bit more of that in the next season as well, with the exception of when I'm facing tough opponents. I think those tends to be a more interesting match if I just go straight forward offense and defense. But otherwise, I think I'll continue doing the themes when I can. All right, so that's the end of this season, season 5 of Grand Arena. Hope you guys enjoyed tuning in. Join me again in a week when we have season 6. I think there's going to be ships this time, but looking forward to that. All right. I will catch you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.